good morning, friends. It is Wednesday, February 24th. This week I've been excellent at knowing what day it is, so I'm very proud of myself. Today we were supposed to have a special guest, but circumstances dictated otherwise, so we'll be rescheduling that to later in March. But today we're going to talk about shadow work, because it is something that I now see everywhere, and I like that I see it everywhere. And we have talked about this before, but new platform, I figured let's go ahead and dive in again and get some insight on what this is. So shadow work, plainly speaking, is the process of integrating both sides of yourself. Okay, so we have your shadow side, which is the unseen, the unrecognized, the unconscious. And then you have your, if you want to relate this to astrological terms, it's your sun and your moon, really. So most of us on a daily basis strive to stay in the most comfortable place for us to be psychologically, emotionally, and physically. It's human nature to do that. The act of shadow work is to integrate all parts of oneself with the idea that you become whole in that process, and you can heal traumas, and you can reach better insight into who you are and the world around you in that process. Now, I have lots of thoughts on shadow work that I'm going to share with you today, because a few months ago when we did some channeling, information came through on how to look at shadow work and what to think about it and how to go about doing it and all of that. And as I've been telling you guys, things change so fast now. And so it is important to revisit the big topics every month or so and just see how it's sitting with you. What do you guys feel? At the end of the day, the most important thing is that you have an understanding of what this is that feels comfortable for you and safe for you. All right. But think of it this way. We have this playground in the middle. All right. And this is a playground that's made up of all of the elements, and it's a neutral space. So you can bring things into this space and create. You have light forms on this side, and you have shadow forms on this side. The idea for balance here is to be able to pull from both sides to create a beautiful work of art in the middle. And this plays on the shadow and it plays on the light. You need both of those things to create this masterpiece. If you're leaning too far on this light side, and spiritual communities generally come under a lot of criticism for always saying, love and light everything, and like stay away from anything dark. Anything that sounds extreme like that is extreme and not in balance. So you're going to want to always look out for that kind of language. We're not saying you have to always be love and light, and we're also not saying you always have to be in the dark, in the shadow places, and doing that work 100% of the time every single day. That's not balanced either. The idea is that you're pulling from both places to create balance in the middle, that you have a platform to create your life from which you feel balanced, at peace with yourself, and with harmony, okay? So when you start to look at delving into the shadow realms, what's over there, right? What is it? It's basically all of the stuff that you don't consciously want to acknowledge about yourself. It's your moon aspect. So tying this back into your astrology, we have our sun sign, right? Which traditionally speaking, we all have been taught to identify as our sun sign, because that's just more common knowledge, and it's easy and it's fun and there's memes, and it's just one of those things. However, the sun sign is just one aspect of who you are. One aspect. It's the easiest to remember, but it is one aspect. A lot of times people will really identify with their sun sign and completely ignore their moon sign. And when you do that, you're only seeing one part of your picture. So for example, let's take me, right? I'm a Scorpio sun and I'm a Sagittarius moon. If you were to peg me as just a Scorpio with just that energy, if I felt like I always had to be in Scorpio energy all the time because that's who I am, it would be going against the current of my actual baseline energy, because I also have Sagittarius energy, which is very fiery, very expansive, and very fast, okay? So when you look at your moon sign and your sun sign, think of them as two halves of a whole sphere, and they come together, they join, and then they can move around. And you're allowed to be all of it, is the thing. You don't have to choose one. You're allowed to be all of it. The shadow side of things are the things that historically we haven't felt comfortable sharing with others. And there's a reason for that. Our society has been built upon shaming us for all sorts of things. And everything that we have been shamed and guilted for and made to feel at fault for goes into that shadow place, goes into a place of, I don't want to look at that. That's not me. It's not who I am. I can't identify with that. And that is at its core, in my opinion, the real reason that we have such an issue integrating shadow, because we don't acknowledge that as okay. Society tells us, go get medicated, or that's a bad thing you did, or that's a bad thing that happened to you because of you. And it becomes this kind of disease, and we don't look at those things because we don't want to identify with them. I'm going to pause real quick to answer a question. What if your sun and moon are the same? Well, if your sun and moon are the same, you're double dosed of that sign, right? So that means your shadow aspect and your sun aspect have similar personalities. Okay, so when you're working in your shadow side, if you're the same sign as your sun sign, you're just basically going to have continuity of personality of how you interact with those aspects of yourself. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so back to this. When you are told that certain emotions, certain actions, certain ways of life are not good, are dirty, are bad, are shameful, all of that stuff has to go somewhere, right? It doesn't necessarily get resolved, especially when these traumas happen to us when we're very young and don't have any other context. We don't have to deal with them. We move into that space of, okay, that can stay over here. I'm gonna live over here in this place, in this life that I've made for myself. That is one aspect of me. What ends up happening over time, of course, as we all know, is if you're only living in one aspect of your being, there's a constant feeling of not being yourself. And that leads to depression, anxiety, inability to connect with other people in a real way. Because how can you connect with somebody if you're only showing them one part of who you are? One of the things we've talked about a bit when we did the body workshop was this idea of nothing that has ever happened to you, nothing that you have ever done could ever change what an amazing person you are in this moment, because everything that has happened to you up until this point, everything you've done up until this point has made this person. So why would we deny any parts of ourselves, right? They've made us who we are. Why would we deny any parts of those we love if they've made that person that we love so deeply? So starting to move into this energy of inclusivity of self, which is the integration of your shadow side and your light side, the side that you show everybody, and starting to move into that space and say, I have love for you. You are also part of me. And you being part of me doesn't change this part of me. It just completes the picture so that I don't feel like there's places inside of me that are unsafe for me to be in. Being safe in your own psyche is the ultimate goal of doing your shadow work, so that you always feel at home, that home is a safe place because you're your home, right? So, and if you have any questions about this, please, this is a running dialogue and subject to opinions change. If this resonates with you, take it. If it doesn't, toss it out. At this point, as I've been telling you guys, everything is in that topsy-turvy place. We are reevaluating all of the things. So it's so important as we undergo this new reevaluation that you really ask yourself, does this resonate with me? Does it feel good? And if it doesn't, just let it go, right? But still moving in this space. I've had conversations with people where they have become very glamorized in the space of searching out for the healing of their shadow, okay? It's really easy to do that. It's really easy to get into that shadow realm and just stay there and feel like you're being very productive by immersing yourself in all of the darkest feelings that you could possibly have, allowing yourself to get into a depressive state, cutting yourself off from others who are not in that space, the same space as you, and just kind of living in that area where you feel like you constantly have to work on yourself. You don't. Feeling like you constantly have to work on yourself and that there's something to fix is, in my opinion, the root of the problem with this society. You don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you. What needs to happen is bigger understanding and acceptance of self so that you can have healing where you need the healing. We all have traumas that have happened to us when we were small, because when you are a child and an action or an event happens that your brain is not yet equipped to encompass, understand, process, integrate, has no context for, that's trauma. And your inner child will do what it can to protect you. And as a child, the only thing it really knows to do is shove it away, right? Push it away for later. And working with your inner child is one of the most fulfilling, beautiful, sometimes heartbreaking, but healing methods of working with your shadow as well. And I have found this so much for myself that when I go back and look at any of the traumas I've had when I was younger, and I have done that work of going back and tapping into that girl and just kind of saying wow, you really went through something, and I'm sending you love and thank you for everything you did to get me to this point so that I was okay. And now I'm okay. And I can take a moment and tell you, you can step down and we're good now, because I'm an adult. I have learned a lot of things, and I can go back into those situations and send love there. And I can feel that healing because it's something that we are able to do. We have a few questions I just want to highlight here. Claudia says, my shadows have been my biggest teachers. They highlight my biggest fears, which I've learned on my biggest dreams. Ooh. Okay, I have another question too, but I want to talk about that. Let's talk about your biggest fears being your biggest dreams and your biggest shadows being your biggest teachers. Anytime you feel that you are about to do something scary, just take a moment and remind yourself that anytime you do something that is completely out of routine for you, completely out of character and really big, your ego, and this is not a bad thing, this is just a thing, your ego is going to want to step in and say, please don't do that because we don't want to die. That's your survivor instinct kicking in. It's not a bad thing. We don't have to beat up our egos. Their egos are just trying to keep us alive, for heaven's sakes, right? It's been a rough time on Earth. So, okay, the fear kicks in and says, don't do that, you're going to die. Don't do that, they're going to hate you. Don't do that, you're going to fail. Don't do that, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And you say, oh, okay, so I'm not going to do that because here's 700 reasons why I shouldn't. But when you push through that fear, what's always on the other side? And I know a lot of you already know this because I've witnessed you do it. When you push through that fear, on the other side is whoa, like you did it, you leveled up and you found it. So that is another amazing aspect to doing your shadow work, is realizing that when you push through the fear, on the other side, it opens up a million new timelines for yourself, right? Crystal's asking, how similar is shadow work to working on your self-esteem? Your self-esteem is tied to how you feel about the sum of all your parts, right? So if you have places inside of you that you don't own, or that you feel ashamed of, or you feel are less than and not good enough, or make you not as amazing as person as those around you, if you have that, then your self-esteem doesn't have a chance at raising up into where it should be, right? So doing your shadow work is going to help you to integrate all of your parts and love them, so that you really don't have a choice but to have higher self-esteem, because it's a byproduct of accepting who you are and loving who you are. Okay, so, and Mandy says, I've never done that. Thank my 22-year-old self. Listen, one of the most beautiful activations that I've ever done, and I feel like we need to do this again, but it ended up being part of I think it was one of the writing workshops I did last year, but we did a shadow work activation. At that time I called them meditations, but we know better now. And during this meditation, we walked ourselves through, we visualized the different platforms, and we went and we took one thing from the shadow places and we brought it into that neutral space, and we witnessed it and we learned from it. And then we made a decision. Everybody made their own decision. Were they ready to release this, or do we want to hold on to it for a little longer? Does it need to kind of stay? And based off of what they wanted to do, if they were ready to release it, they released it. If not, they went and they put it back. Okay, and that was, for me, witnessing that, it was really, really powerful, because it shows you that you are completely in the driver's seat of your own healing and your own experience. You are not, flailing around at the mercies of the energies. That's an old way of thinking. You are completely rooted in your being, and you have the ability to tap back into any of these places that you want to and bring healing to them when you are ready. There's no rush. You don't have to go and jump into every single trauma that's ever happened to you. But a lot of healing can come from simply tapping into a younger self and sending love. And the reason for that, if you want to get quantum physics about it, is that time isn't linear. And we've been working now for a couple weeks with the Purple Crescent Council, and they love talking about this and kind of explaining that, when they tap in with us, they don't see time as linear. So it doesn't exist for them. So they're tapping into different points to interact with us, and we can do the same thing. So this current you, who is at this point in time interacting with me right now, you're able to tap into your younger self at any point in time. And when you do that with your knowledge now and with your energy now, and you send healing and love to a situation that you may not have understood fully at the time, you change everything. You rewire the script, because you're sending love over there and you're healing it. So as time continues to move in its swirling pattern, you have that healing that's already happening. And if you are tuned in enough, you will feel that in your body. You will feel it. It's a real thing. And again, if it resonates, it resonates. If not, not. But this is something that can greatly assist you in moving through a lot of these traumas. Now, I do want to say, which I should have said in the beginning, but I'll just say it now, there is no shame in going and working with a therapist. And I highly recommend, if you have big traumas that you have not worked through, that you do that you go, if you're able to, and see a therapist and move through these different steps of understanding what your traumas are and how you can assist yourself in better serving your inner child and your current self in integrating these things. Because we all need assistance. You don't need to do things by yourself, okay? There's no shame in that. That being said, so much healing is available to us right now, and we don't have to take a million years to do this. And that is the cool thing now. Healing is available to us so freaking fast, so readily available. Tap into these energies, guys. Do your lunar manifestations. Do this work. Give yourself love. Be kind. Don't rush you. Be your own person. These things all allow you to integrate all parts of yourself. When you feel that you are amazing, when you feel proud of all the things you've done already in life, and you feel that like in this point in time, you're good with you, you heal not only your own stuff, but you're healing collective stuff and lineage stuff. It's big work. But again, just because it's big work doesn't mean it has to take a million years, and it doesn't mean it has to be like this back-breaking, soul-crushing thing. It can be amazing, it can be fun, and it can be so enlightening and allow us to connect with each other in new ways. Because here's the other thing. What are we doing here on Earth? What is the point? Right? What are we doing? I've noticed since I've started connecting with this Purple Crescent Council, on Sunday nights, I tend to get a big download from them. And this is not something that I share publicly. I guess it's just us. So, but I want to share this one thing with you because it was really, I think, totally pretty amazing and really connects to the idea of shadow work. And what came through was that we come to this planet to experience connection between each other, human connection. Because the way that humans can connect with each other on this plane is unlike any other place. It's unlike any other connection that can be felt. And so everything that we do on this earth is to have connection with each other. And everything that has happened up until this time to pull us away from each other, to separate us, to make us feel like we are not one big family, that's all going away now. So moving towards connection is where it's at. And when we start to speak, when we start to tell our stories, the whole story, not the cliff notes, not the whitewashed version, not the sparkly bits, but the whole story. When we start to say, hey, this is who I am, and here's what's happened in my life, you give permission for other people to do the same. And the more we do that, the more we normalize how abnormal all of us really are, right? Because what the hell is normal anyway? The more we do that, the more we normalize the fact that all of us have had really weird shit happen to us and, traumatic things all over the place. The more we normalize that and speak about it, the less we have to hide parts of ourselves in shadow, because we can just be us. And we don't have to stay in a victim mentality about it, because we can speak it and be loved and move along, right? We don't have to kick any parts of ourselves to the curb or repress it. And then we give others permission to do the same. And that is where the real healing is, because it happens with one person and then another person and then another person, and then it moves out exponentially and becomes a huge collective upgrade and healing. So feel into that for yourself. I hope that it resonates for today. I know oftentimes when I talk about these things, I'm all over the place, but I'm here to discuss these things with you and to take concepts that have formerly been rooted in fear, in guilt, in anxiety, and take them and put them in the love soil, so to speak, so that we can understand them better and that we can grow from them. So I hope that's helpful for today. If you have any questions or you want me to delve into other topics on this, please just send me a message and we'll talk about it on the next live. Now I haven't forgotten. So here we go. Claudia's like, fairies. All right. I have actually one more thing to say. If you are going through a tough time right now, if things in your life are not quote unquote ideal this week, or haven't been for a minute, just remember that every experience that we're having right now is just an experience, all right? It sometimes feels really good to be human. It sometimes feels excruciating to be human, and you know that it's gonna move back and forth all the time. So if you're in a tough spot, if you're having some big emotions and just the feels are making you crazy right now, just allow yourself some grace, all right? You don't need to fix you. Experience what is your life right now. Experience it, be present, be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and remind yourself that energy moves and you are never stuck. We always have the ability to make choices. You are never stuck, okay? And I'm sending all of you lots of love because shit can get real, and I know that. All right, let's see what the fairies have to say. I swear to God, if they pull that number 25 Weaver card again, well, I don't have any threats, but it'll be crazy. Okay, it's not. It's a different one. All right, it's number 36. It's the Yule Singer. Reminding restoration people that our moon call is on Saturday. Okay, are you ready? Rebirth, feasting, and joy. There you go, Instagram. There you go, Facebook. Woo. She looks festive. Okay, let's see what she has to say. There are times in life when our light dims so that it seems it may go out for all eternity. But when this time comes, you are being put to a great test. If you persevere at this time, you will experience a depth of life experience that will lead to you being reshaped, transformed, and in many ways changed. You are undergoing such an experience at present, and this card is here to share with you that at such a time of great darkness and suffering, a new light will shine and bring you back to life, a kind of reincarnation within the same life you are now experiencing. When this takes place, the Yule Singer will come to you and sing to you the song of your deepest self. You will open up with this song and begin to live again. The pain will dissolve slowly, and surely you will enter into a time of joy and light, while the flame of your spirit rises high once again within your soul. Expect new friendships, easy connections, fortunate moments, and growth when this beautiful card comes to you. The dark times are done with for now. You are stronger, brighter, and beginning once again a bright new cycle. Sing your song. Oh, the fairies are killing it right now, right? Oh my goodness. All right, I will post this in the Restoration Facebook group so you can look at it. I swear I'm gonna do that right now. And you can join me tomorrow live. Tomorrow's Thursday, yeah. Join me tomorrow live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for channeling of the Purple Crescent Council. We will have cocktails if you imbibe. And if you have any questions for the Purple Crescent, send me an email, send me a message. You guys know where to find me, and I will make sure to get your questions in. It's the best way if you send me them, ahead of time, because once I get going, it gets a little crazy. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. I love you guys so much. If you have enjoyed this transmission on the podcast, on the YouTube, on the live, please do me a solid, subscribe, follow, share, tell your friends. Love you. Mwah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and follow.